Hello, this is Evan Davies, and I'm going to discuss the three pieces of music we had to analyze, plus the found piece that I have. So obviously, the three pieces that we had to analyze all had pretty much of a common theme, and that was clouds. And so, in the first piece, the McGinty piece, on the opening sections, measures 1 through 22, we see that this piece is in 3/4 time. It's legato. The dynamics are soft, and it's supposed to be describing cirrus clouds, which are those like wispy, light, fluffy clouds that are way high in the sky and don't even look threatening to you, and just give you that nice peaceful feeling. In the beginning of this piece, there was like limited percussion, and the piece kind of just flowed and gave it that happy feeling with just alternating eighth notes throughout the sections. Then, as we proceed into the piece at measure 23, it kind of changes into some thunder clouds. It changes time signature, 4/4 time. The articulations become more intense, more accents. There's more percussion that is added, and instead of more independent playing that we saw in the opening section, we have more unified rhythm patterns by the ensemble together, producing that bigger, fuller sound. And the dynamics even change. They go up to a fortissimo. And then when we get into measure 31, there's some rubato with a lot of chaos created, kind of like a thunderstorm, which is very unpredictable. And then at measure 32, that storm kind of starts to die out, and we get back to measure 38 and 39 with a decrescendo, and we transition into measures 40 and 45, which is a transition period to measure 46, where now they're going to talk about the cumulus clouds, which are the big kind of fluffy clouds that you see, not necessarily thunder clouds, but kind of like the ones after a storm that you see. And the dynamics come back down to mezzo piano, and then we crescendo only to about a mezzo forte, and then they recap the opening section, and then the song peacefully ends with a sustained unison B flat. The piece stays in the key of B flat the whole time. So that McGinty piece has a good contrast of different styles and different feelings, and makes you feel with some different emotions. On the Clouds by Andy Beck, the vocal piece, the two-part vocal piece, this is kind of more just a happy theme throughout the piece. There's not much difference in the emotions, so to speak. The opening sections, 4/4 time, just a bunch of 4-bar unison phrases. The dynamics are mezzo piano. We're in G major. Then at measure 21, it seems to be more dialogue between the parts, more of a call and response type thing, and we start to hear harmony in the second part, or the alto part, more. And then at 65 to the end, it's like the big finale, and it shifts up to a half step to A major, to A flat major, and the dynamic level goes up to mezzo forte, and the parts are now more rhythmically together, and that call and response time is over, and then the song just ends peacefully with a decrescendo. And then the last piece is Nuages by Django Reinhardt and Jacques Leroux. This is a jazzy type piece, and Nuages means clouds in French. So the 3 years I took French in high school way back in the 1980s paid off finally. So opening measures 1 through 8, the use of triplets to make the style feel like swing, and then a feeling of rhythmic freedom is being established throughout the whole piece. Measures 9 through 41, it's just a simple accompaniment based on 1 and 3, no syncopation feeling. Then we get to 47, and we start to see a lot more complex rhythms, especially in the solo section there by Django Reinhardt. And then it goes back to 26 through 36, back to just the simple accompaniment, no complex rhythms. And then at the end of measure 58, more triplets and syncopation. Just the rhythm is more complex. It feels more free, kind of like clouds just rolling wherever they want to roll sometimes, and you don't know what it's gonna be like. Back and another thing, just back to the choir piece for a minute. I kind of also just found it neat that it brings back memories of whenever you're a kid, or even now when you look at clouds and like, that looks like such and such, or something different. So I thought that was pretty neat too, just to bring that memory back. And then the piece that I kind of thought about throughout all this was a piece by David Holsinger called A Hymn Song of Philip Bliss, which is a band piece he wrote, and it's based off the hymn "It Is Well With My Soul." If you know the story about "It Is Well With My Soul," a guy named Horatio Spafford was they're gonna take a family trip to Europe, and then something happened. He's a businessman, and he had a late business thing happen, so he couldn't go right away. So he sent his wife and 4 children, and on their way there, they got struck by an English vessel, and the 4 kids drowned. The wife survived, and when she got to land, she sent a telegraph to Horatio saying that she made it and the kids didn't. So then he boarded a ship and went on his way, and at the spot where the crash or the vessel crash took place, he was overcome so much that he wrote the text to the hymn "It Is Well With My Soul," and then Philip Bliss, who was a hymn writer, followed the story a few years later and set the text to a hymn, which is the hymn that we heard today. So the piece it's kind of like clouds. It just kind of has unpredictability to it in the beginning of the piece. It's just beautiful, like things are going well, you're going on vacation, everything's happy, and then in the middle it's kind of just changes the tone, and it just gives that more, I don't know, that more chaotic feeling, the more angst. You feel a little bit more angst, and and it's the brass that's playing, and they're getting more accents, and there's more bigger, faster dynamics, and it just gives you that feeling of uneasiness. And then in the end, Horatio Spafford was a very religious man and very had a lot of faith in God, relied on that faith to get him through this time, and at the end it comes back to that normal, soothing type feel. And I just, it's one of my favorite band pieces. I mean, everybody goes through storms in life. We're going to keep going through them no matter what. And so eventually you get through them, and they end, and calmness returns. Then it happens again. It's a circle of life. So anyways, that's what I did for these pieces, and I look forward to your comments. Thank you.